we call it just skimming. Let's get rid of the hair. See the kind of shaving lines squatting down. This thing will sew through your fingers without even skipping a stitch. It's really heavy duty. This type of machine an upholsterer would use. Yeah, when dealing with really heavy fabric. See this? That lifts the. So on industrial machines that are used for production, the motor is in the table here, and usually you lift the foot with your knee. Over on that machine, it's actually electronic, and you lift the foot. If you press the heel of your foot down, it'll back tack, lift the foot, and cut the thread.
Oh wow!
But this is more manual, and it's designed so that you can keep your hands up here and move more quickly. I'm going to do something here that I should have done in the beginning. So I should have done this before sewing the zipper. Yeah, I think I like that better.
What does the tab do for it?
Well, if we didn't, then there'd be this like hole when you sewed the circle on. So this will hide the seam allowance of the circle, and also just it'll be more sturdy. Okay, now I'm back where we started. So it's not pretty, but it will give us an idea if this is practical. All right. Now let's get a measure and figure out what size circle to cut. So the circumference, right, would be 17 inches times 2. Right, so 34. And if we're trying to figure out then what is the radius or the diameter, right? Well, let's go for diameter. So 30 circumference is diameter times pi, right? So, okay. So it's like 10 3/4, 10.75-ish, right? So the diameter is around 10.73-ish. Equals, so that times pi equals 34. That's the diameter at the stitch. So we need to add seam allowance. So let's cut the circle at, so that's almost 11. Let's cut the circle at 12. We already have, from there to there is 12 inches. Whoops. Good on this. These aren't lined up. There's about 12 inches. Okay, so what I do is I start with a 12-inch square, which that's 12 inches that way. To get 12 inches this way, create the triangle. So this should be about a 12-inch square. Yeah, it's about 12. Because it doesn't have to be the perfect circle. But I want that to be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Chop that off. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now I've got a hexagon, and I can just, not a hexagon, what is it? An octagon. Okay, that's going to be close enough to a circle for sewing purposes. And let's cut another one. All right, and then here's the next thing we do to make it easier to go in. We'll get these squared up. Okay. We're going to go in half and put a notch so that we get quarter, so notch top and bottom. And then we're going to fold this way. That notch didn't take very well. I'm going to fold in on itself. So now we've got notches at each quarter. And did they show? And then we're going to make quarter notches on this. And that's easy to do because the zipper at the top is 1, right? The center of the zipper. So if I square that up, and now we'll put a notch here. A notch there. And then if we open it up this way, as long as we line up the zipper to the notch. And again, if it was an engineered print, we would, yeah, that would be built into the file. There's that one there. All right, now I'm going to take it to the machine. This, rather than going this way, where you're trying to put the circle underneath, it's a lot easier, just like it is when you sew a sleeve, it's a lot easier to have the straight part on the outside and then just manipulate the circle. Okay. So now I keep this piece straight, and I'm just going to manipulate. We added a little more than a 1/2 inch, right, to get to that 12. So I just keep this straight and manipulate the circle so that the notch gets there. So I think I'm going to need to come in a little bit harder. There we go. The notch is right there. Looks like I have to come in a little more than 1/2 inch here. And the trick is keeping this straight and just manipulating the circle. Because you're not really turning, the stitch isn't really turning. All right, now we're just gonna run through the serger so that both those edges are cleaned up.
For my like bags,
Yeah.
I don't have a serger, so what I had to do was just cut the edges so they were neat, and then I had to use fabric glue so it looked.
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah. Serger's going to be a really good thing. You are welcome to, especially on Saturdays. I often come here and do paperwork on Saturdays. If you're interested in kind of having, occasional days where you come in and use the equipment. Yeah, I mean, I could show you how to use equipment, or we get somebody else to train you here. It's sometimes just really nice to be able to spread out on the high tables and then use the type of equipment that can get through the heavy stuff. And so, like, you could have a day where you come and you're just prototyping, just kind of playing around and doing your designs. And then eventually, once you really get into it, you're probably going to need to move away from the home machine and into the industrial. But the cool thing about industrial machines is they actually cost less than home machines. Yeah, because at a fabric store they try and like upsell you on these electronic ones that can do all these fancy stitches, and these machines can only do one thing. They can just sew straight forwards and backs. They don't do zigzag. They don't do anything, and they're designed to be sold to businesses, and so you can often get a used industrial machine for around $600, where a lot of times the home machines are $1,200, and new electronic industrials are more. But you're welcome to come in and play with these. This thing. So this is called a continuous steam iron. So when you hold the button down, and this would be even better if it had like a solid black lining. Which, if you end up liking the dimensions and stuff. Okay, so let's see. Okay, lesson learned: if I put the tape on tighter, it would more easily thread through. All right. I wonder if I use the grommets too small. You guys game for hanging? Right? Let's get it done. Ripping the grommets is not recommended, obviously. This is an upholsterer's stripping tool. If you're stripping down the original cover off a chair or something, it allows you to really get in and get the tacks out with staples. And that'll give a little more. And then if we use a grommet that's bigger, now the only problem with the large ones is they tend to pull out a little more easily. But given that this is a prototype, here we go. I'm gonna turn back. And then I usually, when you pull that off, you can, loosen that all up. want longer straps, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's do that. The shape is good, right? Look at longer. That's great. Your sweater too.